You know, I'm well aware that a lot of people are very ingrained into their political ideology and dogma, and they just can't step outside of it. And I know there's a lot of people out there that worship Trump like he's some sort of savior. But in the case of Trump and his position on guns and marijuana, if you're defending him, well, then you're turning your back on the Constitution. Before we get started here, I want to remind everyone to subscribe and sign up for all notifications on this channel. This channel is restricted by YouTube, so I'm counting on you to help us survive YouTube's anti-2A bias. Hey everybody, Yankee here. Yesterday, I did a video talking about how the Trump administration has taken the legal position that the government should absolutely have the ability to remove your rights, your Second Amendment rights from you, if you smoke marijuana, if you use marijuana. They should be able to strip you of your Second Amendment rights. They say that's the way it's been and that's the way we want it to be. Unfortunately, in the comments section, a lot of people defended Trump. They bent over backwards trying to rationalize how their hero couldn't possibly be doing something wrong. He's pro-gun, he's pro-freedom, he's pro-personal choice, all these things. No, he's not. He's pro his rich friends and him having freedom to do whatever they want to do and having personal choice. But he's not us having rights. And that's evident in the fact that they want to continue the practice of removing Second Amendment rights from people just for partaking of a substance that they don't approve of. It isn't harmful to you. It's no more harmful than alcohol. In fact, it's less harmful according to most every study. But they want to take it from you, and they want to take your gun rights if you use it. And when you're defending Trump in this situation, no matter what you say, oh, it's always been the law, it's on the 4473, what else could they do? Well, they could oppose it. They could stop it from being what's going on. But they're doing the exact opposite. So if you're on their side, you're on the side of continuing that infringement, continuing the government's power to strip you of your Second Amendment rights because you partook of a substance that they said is naughty. It's the devil's lettuce. That's what you're supporting. There's no way you can support Trump here and not be supporting that because that's their whole position. One person even said, well, if you don't like the law, change it. But, as of right now, that's what Trump and them have to do because that's the law. No, that's not what they have to do. They could oppose this act. They could oppose the idea that the government has that ability. But they're not. In fact, they're doing the opposite. Because as far as changing the law, right now the courts are changing the law. The reason they're taking this position in court and petitioning the Supreme Court is because we've had multiple courts now say that it would be unconstitutional to take someone's rights away from them because they use marijuana, especially if it's medical marijuana. They said that's not constitutional. You can't do that. The government doesn't have that power. But the Trump administration has stepped in and said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not only do we want to continue having that power, and every administration after us have that power, but we want the Supreme Court to weigh in and codify it, strengthen it, give us even more power when it comes to doing it. Give us a righteous high ground where we can now say, now that it's codified by the Supreme Court, we have to go to these states that have recreational marijuana. We have to take all their records so we can deny people the right to buy arms, so we can put them in a database so that they can't buy guns no more. Oh, we got to raid these medical dispensaries because it's not legal federally. We got to get those records. Anyone's ever bought medical marijuana or has a medical marijuana card or got a prescription? Or hell, maybe even someone is just, if you've ever had a charge on your card at medical marijuana places, which they've started being able to take banking now, I guess. But that's what they want to be able to do. That's what you're supporting when you support Trump. Because they want it to be codified by the Supreme Court, strengthened, giving them even more leverage to do what they want to do. And remember, Jeff Sessions was already planning on going after everybody in Trump's first term. And the only reason he didn't is because Trump got mad at him about something else and he got taken away before he was able to implement his plans. So if you think he was planning something Trump didn't agree with, I think you're kind of crazy to believe that. And it's just making me kind of sick to my stomach that we're getting these victories. We're getting courts saying you can't take people's rights away simply because they use a substance you don't agree with. that you've got philosophical or moral issues with. It's just not constitutional. Founders didn't do that. We shouldn't be able to do that. And the Trump administration is stepping in, like I said, and saying, no, hold it. We want to still be able to do that. We don't want the courts to be able to overturn that. We're fighting to get it put back. We're fighting for it to stay, and we're trying to strengthen that law. We're trying to strengthen the court's ability to take away your rights on a whim. And that's what you're supporting if you're supporting Trump here. You're not just supporting some guy who's like, well, that's the law, and he's just following the law. No, he has every ability to not follow the law. He has every ability to just step aside here and let the courts declare it unconstitutional. But like I said, he's doing the opposite. He's fighting against us. He's fighting against the government losing the power to strip you of your rights arbitrarily. And if you can't see that, then maybe you're blinded by ideology. Or maybe his balls are in your eye because you're upside down when you're sucking his dick. Because if you support Trump in this position, then you're wrong. You're against the Constitution. You don't support the Second Amendment. You don't support the courts. In this case, when they're supporting the Second Amendment. So that's your only choice. You either agree with Trump in this case and you support the idea that the government can arbitrarily remove your rights, or you have to admit he's wrong and that the government shouldn't have those rights. And you know what? You can still support him and say he's wrong. If there's any politician out there that you feel you can't say they're wrong when they're wrong, well, then you shouldn't support them, period. And if Trump can't handle it when people disagree with him, well, then you shouldn't support him, period. If you don't think he can handle it, well, then he shouldn't be the president. And you shouldn't be supporting him. And you definitely shouldn't be giving him carte blanche to do whatever he wants to do. You know, you've just got a pass on everything, even if it's unconstitutional, even if it's something I should stand strongly against. I'm going to support it because I like Trump. Well, great. It's great that you love Trump, but who do you love more, your Constitution or a guy who's going to be president for 3 more years? Which one do you care more about? Because a lot of you, it seems like it's Trump. Because you're willing to suspend your rational thought processes to be able to bend over backwards and support him. It's on the 4473. What's he supposed to do? Not step in and stop the courts from reversing it. If the courts took that away, well, it'd have to come off the 4473. If the court said tomorrow, you know, this is illegal, you can't do this, the government doesn't have this power, and the Supreme Court either didn't weigh in or weighed in and agreed with them, well, then that would come off the 4473. At least in the circuits that it's been decided in. And then that would be a reason for it to go to the Supreme Court and get that way in every state. Because we don't want states with different 4473s. So he could just step back and let the courts do their thing here. We're winning. He's not stepping in and helping us. He's stepping in and fighting against us. And if you support him when he's fighting against your rights and things you supposedly believe in, then you don't really believe in anything. You're more worried about owning the libs or staying on Trump's good side. You know, I want him to think I love him. I want him to know I love him. You know, I want him to be nice to me. You know, even though he's not been nice to us, period, so far when he's been in, what has he done for us? Nothing. So if you're supporting him in this case, you can't eat your cake and have it too. You're either with him and you're supporting the government's right to arbitrarily remove your gun rights, or you have to admit he's wrong and the courts are right, and that shouldn't be a thing anymore. You got to choose which it is. You can't have both.